Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show. I'm Gregory Harden II, and today I'm here with Cristian Zapata, who is a candidate running for state representative in District 89 out in South Oklahoma City.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop what you're doing. Okay. If you like this video and you like the other content on my channel, please hit the like button on this video. Also, go hit subscribe like right now. And also, when you hit subscribe, click the bell so you can get notifications whenever I put out a new video. So, thanks. All right, enjoy the rest of the video.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. Um, it's great to talk with you again. Some of you that are watching might know that I had him on in 2020 whenever he ran for this seat. And, but when the world was in the middle of ending, so I guess we all made it. If you're watching, you made it. Well, I guess so. It's still in the middle of ending. We're just catching a little bit of a break right now. So, yeah. But first question I have here is, where are you from and where did you grow up?
Yeah, well, I'm here, born and raised from the District 89, lived here my whole life. I'm fortunate enough to be able to work in the district as well. I work for a local credit union here. So, a lot of my days just engaging, interacting with these people. And just from being at a credit union as well, you get a sense of, what the issues are here in the district. And a lot of it is just economic issues. I mean, it's a common thing. Everyone's struggling right now, especially with inflation. And that's something that's really important here. For my campaign, the platforms that are most important, I would say, are just economic development, whether it be through getting jobs in here or, helping create laws that make unions easier, like repealing things like right to work. So, just getting things started back up in this district, which it used to be really easy to get a job here, especially a union job. It was so recent enough that even I remember that, I remember my parents working at a factory. Yeah, I remember my parents working at a factory here, and I'm only 23, so
yeah,
it wasn't that too long ago. The other thing that's important. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The other thing that's important is education, schools. Same deal here. A lot of schools in the district are, failing our students, and it's not because of the teachers. It's plain and simple, just a funding thing. And that's what it's been for a long time. We need more teachers, and they need more money, whether it be through their paychecks or whether through it be the funds to be able to create more interactive and engaging classes for their students. And then lastly, the third thing is just general representation for the district. They really haven't had a stable or an attentive representative in a long, long time. And that's something that, from talking to them, they really need. When I ask them, what do they think we can improve on the state level or locally, they really don't know what to ask, because that's not something that they get asked a lot very often or at all. So, they have a hard time coming up with things. And that's something that I just want to get them used to being asked, like, what can we do better? What can we do for you? Because that's something that I feel like everyone should have someone representing them at all times.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You said you're 23. I just turned 24 last month. When is your birthday? Because I thought you were closer to my age. Because you're gonna turn 24 like in a month or two, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I turned 24 at the end of July, so I'm not too far behind.
Yeah.
Not too far behind you.
That's what I thought, because I remember you said, I think you said you graduated high school the same year I did, 2016.
Yeah.
So yeah. What high school did you go to?
I went to a charter school, Dove Science Academy.
Okay.
And I faced some of the same issues that public schools had, just funding. I had some great teachers, really great teachers. They really pushed us to get politically involved. And I think that's really what started me on this track and where I am today.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. I substitute teach at some schools in Oklahoma City. Um, so I've been to
Oh,
some of the schools out there. Let's see.
Oklahoma City, how's that kind of drive?
So I mean, I'm not there at 5 days a week, at least not usually, but I used
Yeah,
to get 3 to 4 days. I'll be up there some weeks. It's about an hour drive, give or take, depending on which
yeah.
school I'm going to. Like if I'm going to John Marshall, that's almost hour and 10 minutes. But if I'm just going to US Grant or Capitol
Hmm.
Hill, that's about 50 minutes. But yeah,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
yeah,
if you're ever in US Grant, you need to hit me up so we can hang out.
yeah, because I sub out that way quite a bit. I think
Yeah.
lately I've been at Capitol Hill quite a bit. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Capitol Hill's close to me too. Yeah.
yeah, because the
Yeah.
aren't both of those in your no, US
Mm-mm.
Grant's in 93, but
Yeah.
Capitol Hill's in 89, right? Or
Uh
Southeast in 89. Southeast High is in 89 right
yeah.
now. I've subbed over there a time or two. But yeah. But yeah, I've been over there often. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. So last time we talked, you were a student at UCO, as am I. I'm still a student at UCO. So have you graduated since then, or what are you currently doing? You said you're working at a credit union, but yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I'm on the same boat as you. I'm still a student.
Okay, cool.
I'm still attending. It's an on and off thing.
Yeah, same here.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
money's tight. What can we
Yeah,
do?
see, that's what I've been telling people. I said with me, substitute teaching and doing the campaign, doing the show, I have to take a little bit of a break from school because I can't juggle all those things together. Probably take a class in the summer, but like right now it's
Yeah.
just like oof. And yeah, but episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion Show are sponsored by Oklahoma Progress Now. Oklahoma Progress Now is a 501c4 organization focused on building progressive power in Oklahoma. Their primary efforts are on developing progressive content for a 21st century audience, coalition, and capacity building across progressive organizations and causes, and working to see elected leaders who are more responsive to their constituents and the needs of the many. Areas of focus include progressive messaging and communications, coalition building and resource sharing, and focused progressive policy goals. You can check out their Twitch live streams, and they go live on Facebook at noon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please support this organization. It's a really great organization. It's just getting started here in Oklahoma. Thank you. Now enjoy the rest of the video. So what made you want to run for this seat?
I mean, same thing that made me want to run last time. It's just wanting to represent the community. But more than that, this time, it's the realization that the community as a whole, it needs to stand up for itself. Recently, with the redistricting, they really, chopped a lot of South OKC up, and the people in power, I didn't feel like pushed hard enough to keep it together.
Oh yeah, you're talking
And
about with the congressional districts redrawn.
yeah,
Yeah, that's because what is it? They drew South OKC and put it with like the Panhandle in most of Western Oklahoma in Congressional
yeah,
District 3. The most insane gerrymander I've seen. I mean, there's probably crazier gerrymanders in other states, but as far as Oklahoma goes, that's wild. And what they did with CD5, I'm still in CD5, but now it's also Lincoln County, Logan
yeah,
County. It's like 5 other counties along with North Oklahoma City and Edmond and Shawnee and Seminole. But yeah, I feel you on the gerrymandering thing. But yeah, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nice to get insight. But yeah, I just, if the representatives we had didn't fight for us, then it falls onto the community to fight for themselves. And that's what I feel like this campaign, and if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, is my first term is going to be about, is just getting the community used to being involved in the political process. Just voter turnout and voter registration alone here in the district is super low. I think last primary it was like less than 1,000 people voted, and for the actual election it was like
4,000 people, something.
it was
like
less
that.
than 3,000 out of a district of like almost 40,000 people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really low.
Yeah, I feel that because voter turnout, that's something I'm wanting to increase in my district too. My district's considered to be one of the higher turnout districts, but I feel like that's just because it's more, how do I say this? It's not really a rural district necessarily. It is mostly urban with a handful of rural districts. So that's why people think like the turnout is higher than it should be in my district compared to what it is. And I was like, not really, because it's, it's not rural and or of what are some of the other factors that make people not turn out? I don't know. Like it's either way, but I get what you're saying. I still feel like turnout could be higher in my district as well, compared to what it is. And I feel like it could be better in all districts, but some districts are, because what was it even in 2020, the turnout didn't even reach 4,000 people in your district.
Yeah.
That's wild because the turnout was really higher than usual. I'll say that because it was, that's, and there was 2 people on the ballot. Like it wasn't just, because Jose had an opponent that year. Opponent. Yeah, that's really
so all sides had something to vote for. It's just it's just that low.
Yeah, because I was about to say like that's pretty. Yeah, that's oof. But yeah, let's see. In getting voter registration up, because I think the registration's also pretty low too, so it's kind of correlates. It's not so much that people just aren't voting, it's people aren't even registered. And let's see. So what are some of the things you'd like to do to make education better, and could you explain why we need to make education better in our state?
Yeah, and I mean, we run in the same circle, so you might have had this idea come across, and I think it's really good. But I'm not sure what this. I haven't narrowed down the name, but I think the name that they're considering is the Oklahoma's Promise Package.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea, and something that we really want to push for. It's basically, we already have Oklahoma's Promise, and it's extremely popular, and it's worked a lot and it's helped a lot. I'm one of the beneficiaries of it. And it's basically students who are from low income families basically get their tuition waived by the state. And I believe that that's something that, since it already works, we've already seen that it works, it's already popular, we can expand it to include basically everyone instead, which would basically be free college, right?
Yeah.
Or close to it. It get a lot of the financial burden, it remove a lot of the financial burden and obstacles that students have to attend college. We also want to make it so it includes, trade school as well, because that's another option that it doesn't get pushed enough as well.
Yeah.
And why should we focus on education in Oklahoma? Well, I think it's pretty obvious just looking at Oklahoma as a whole. I think the statistic was that 1 in 4 high school students that graduate and go on to college have to take remedial courses, which is insane and abysmal. It's wasting the students' money and time
Yeah.
that they could be spending, taking real college classes. What they should have known in high school should be taught to them so they can move on and focus and more quickly move on to adulthood.
Yeah. I remember Oklahoma's Promise. They've moved it. So when we were in school, it was for families that make $50,000 or less. They've moved it up to $60,000. I don't know when they did this, but I see the flyers in the classrooms and whatnot at the schools. So that's how I know that they've changed it. And I feel like if we upped it to at least 100,000, like families make it, you would pretty much be able to cover most families. Overwhelming majority, I don't know what the number would be, but at least probably 80 to 90 something percent of the families in Oklahoma. And because I wasn't able to benefit from it, not by much, because I don't even think I would have been able to benefit from it under the new rules either. But still, having to manage working during school in order to pay for college, in order to live and whatnot, that's still something I had to do or have to do or help do, and other students do as well. And it would make it easier for students to be able to get through college, because I would say part of the reason why I'm not finished with college is money issues. If I had the money to be able to do so, I would probably be quicker to getting finished, but I don't. We have to go work for it, and I don't think that should be necessary, because if we want the state to be better, we need to be investing in the people here. Because I remember you probably had friends or people that you knew that they went to college in Texas because they could get in-state tuition, and then they never came back. And and if people could get cheaper tuition or have their tuition paid for in Oklahoma, if they went to an Oklahoma school, that would keep them here, and then they might be influenced to stay here and work here. But yeah. Let's see. And workers' rights. This is also an important part of my platform as well. Could you talk about the importance of workers' rights and labor unions, stuff like that, wages and whatnot?
Of course, it's I think I personally believe unions and workers' rights are an important and integral part to Oklahoma's history. The state started off with probably one of the strongest farmers unions ever. And like I said, it was there at the beginning, and it's just been slowly been eroded away until it is what it is now. And it's just terrible to see. I mean, I have friends, for example, that work in the Amazon warehouses, which for a lot of people is a good stable income, but it's like
the conditions are bad.
Yeah, the conditions are bad, and they keep adding new rules that just they lured you in at the start with a good pay and a pretty good environment, but now they're stacking on like, now we have you, here's all the rules, and they hit you with the reality of what it's like to work for Amazon, which is not good at all. I think now to the point where they're not allowing anyone at all to work more than 30 hours, period. Like, no, for my friend tells me it's no overtime, nothing like that is happening.
Well, that's not even time right there if it's not even
Yeah,
over 30 hours. Because
yeah,
that's something I feel like a lot of people don't know is a lot of jobs, because even McDonald's and Wendy's and fast food jobs, they'll do this too. They won't give anybody 40 hours.
hmm,
And if they do give you 40 hours or more, they'll write you up for it.
yeah,
You, not the managers on duty, not the head store manager, but you get written up because you worked more hours than the
yeah,
40 or whatever, the 35. And it's like, how does that work? How is that legal?
yeah,
How does that make sense? Even if it isn't, which it's not, it can't be legal. I refuse to believe that that's legal, but it just can't be. There's just no way. You're supposed to get
yeah,
40 hours if you work full time. But anyway, but no, if people had unions and we were able to organize as workers, we wouldn't have to deal with that. We'd be able to get our 40 hours and our higher wages other than 7.25 or 10.25 or whatever else isn't a living wage for the jobs that we're working. And or if they do want to have us work less than 40 hours, at least have us get paid more higher wage for doing that. Like it's
yeah.
it's just but but yeah, I am aware that some of the Starbucks here in Oklahoma have been trying to
Yes.
unionize. Are any of those Starbucks in your district? Because I know one or two of them are in Oklahoma City. I don't remember which
I don't
ones
think so.
though.
I went today to the Starbucks that's in my district, and it didn't seem like that's what's going on. Um, who knows? Maybe they're just keeping it hush
Yeah, because
until
that's what
they.
I
I don't think that's
know.
something they'll advertise,
Yeah,
out loud. But
yeah. But the ones that they were talking about, I want to say it was the Oklahoma City Free Press that was writing about it a few weeks
yeah,
ago. I want to say one of them was in the north part of Oklahoma City, I think. I'm not sure, but it was two of them. I'm pretty sure about that. And I've been on the lookout for that here in Oklahoma because there's a Starbucks here in Shawnee, and I only know maybe one person that works over there, but I haven't really talked with them about anything. But I'm curious to see if any union activity at our Starbucks, happens, and be able to support that, and hopefully it'll influence other people to start unions. And I really, really, really want to see fast food workers getting unionized soon.
yeah,
McDonald's and Wendy's. I want to see that because that's going to be Starbucks is close. That's huge, but I feel like I'll be super super happy when I see McDonald's or
yeah,
some places like that get unionized, because then it's like, oh well, we have to unionize everything now. Like where's the sectoral bargaining bill? Come on, let's wrap this up. But yeah, let's see. And on your website, you have a part talking about immigration. Would you like to talk about the specifics with immigration issues in your district and what you'd like to do at the Capitol about that if elected?
yeah. I don't think it's any secret that my district in particular has a large immigrant population. And that's something that's important to me because it's all around me at all times. The business owners, the co-workers, my friends, they're all immigrants. So it's something that is important to me, and it's important to, bring that representation to them. Because at the end of the day, even though, some of them might not be able to vote, they're still in my district. They're still people that I have to fight for. And that all starts with getting them to believe in the system and not have to worry about just any of the consequences that could come with being outed as one. At the end of the day, we are in Oklahoma, and that's still a touchy topic for a lot of people. So it all starts with that. It's just making them feel safe in the community, making them feel safe to be able to call the cops or just report anything that they may see at work, in public, because a lot of them as well work in construction, and a lot of what goes on in construction goes unreported because they're just worried, like, oh, then the police are going to come to me, ask me questions, and it's going to be, they think it's going to be a whole mess. And so that's really where creating a safer community starts as well. It's just getting the immigrant population to just feel safe to be out in public and interact with officials.
Yeah,
And
because yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that all starts with just pushing for, and I know a lot of this is done at the federal level or at the city level, but the state can do something about it too. It all starts with maybe like Oklahoma City. They are really closely tied with ICE, and their jail system. It starts with just decoupling that, and just making people feel safe that they can go and come to the police when they need to.
Yeah. I since I've been substitute teaching out in Oklahoma City, specifically South Oklahoma City and US Grant, Capitol Hill, that's when I mean, I always knew that there was a large number of undocumented immigrants out in that area, but actually, like, getting to, well, first of all, South Oklahoma City compared to Shawnee, it's a huge culture shock, like worlds of difference. Like it's because there's that, and what was it? And having to know that a lot of these high schoolers, they've only been here for a few years in the country, or at least in Oklahoma City. And one thing that really struck me was the state a few years ago, what is this, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years ago, 2019, I think, they passed a law that said high school students, in order to graduate, they have to pass a citizenship test. It's like the questions, right? And I had to help them study for it a few days last semester or something like that. And I was out at US Grant, and it like made my mind explode, because I was like, wait a minute, did anyone not think of this? Like, we're having undocumented students take a citizenship test so they could graduate, but that doesn't give them citizenship. That doesn't even go towards them getting citizenship. That's utter, like it really made, I was like, this state is so horrible and stupid. Like, I can't believe this. I went home that day and I was just like, oh my God, like we did this. Like, I was already against passing that, because I feel like if you're taking a government class, and if you're taking US history, and if you've lived in this country for a period of time, a lot of these questions you'll know, right? I don't think you need to have a test to test over. But when I thought about that, I was just like, this is the most like offensive thing ever. But I bring this up to point out that regardless of the fact of whether or not they're able to vote, they live in the district and they still are under the state's rules, and they have to be able to or state's laws, and they have to be able to communicate with their legislators, with other legislators and public officials within the community, simply because they're people who live here, regardless of whether or not they can vote here or not. So yeah, but that's one thing that, like, ooh, and I talked to another state representative about this a couple of months ago, and he said that someone did bring that up as a reasoning as to why they shouldn't pass it. And I was like, oh, well, thank God someone did, because to me it's just like, this is the most like tone deaf piece of legislation. It's just ugh. But no, anyway, that's my frustration with that. Do you have anything to add to that? Sorry.
No, I mean, we're on the same page here. It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't like to drag down Oklahoma. Too many people do it already. I like to be a little bit more hopeful, but
I know, but
yeah,
yeah,
it, it,
when I thought about that, I was like, oh no, there's no
yeah,
way we actually did this. Come on now. It was like we defunded education for like half of my life, but this is the one thing we're gonna add after I graduate, and it's but no,
I mean, we know a lot of these people run on cruelty out here.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, I would assume that a bill like that was not necessarily thought of uh with the point of trying to impugn or make fun of people, or specifically undocumented students or anything like that. But if that got brought up in debate, that hey, we're making them take this citizenship test, but like this doesn't go towards anything, and it's kind of just it at that point, it's kind of like they went ahead and did this anyway, though, even though that point was brought up. But anyway, nonetheless, I'll go on to the next question because that's something I can go on about for hours. Um, criminal justice reform. We've seen some improvements in this area over the last few years, but there is still quite a bit more we could be doing. Could you talk about some of the things you'd like to see us do with criminal justice reform and why we need to do them?
Yeah, I mean, oh, hold up, I gotta get ready. Because, like you said, we've done a bit, but I don't think we're even close to halfway there where we need to be. So it's a lot. I think we're still in the top 3 globally in incarceration rates, period, which is a travesty. We still don't have, and this is probably like the ultimate, dream goal. We still have privatized jails, and those just need to get rid of, be getting. We still need to get rid of those. Period.
Be gotten rid of is the word
Be
you're
gotten
looking
rid
for.
of. Yeah.
Yes. I grew up in the country, so I know what you were trying to utter over there. Okay.
Yeah. it's like the Southern tries to get out, and I'm trying to like
Yes.
correct myself.
Yes. That happens to me sometimes too. It's like, I know this isn't correct, but I'm going to try to say it anyway because I know everybody else is going to know what I'm trying to say. But yeah.
Yeah. So, private prisons done away with. What is it? Just the whole criminal charges for drug. What is it? Having drug substances on you.
Mhm.
That we just need to get rid of. I believe more in just rehabilitation and helping people instead of punishing them. And we are in a, on top of a COVID pandemic, we're in a substance abuse pandemic here, especially in the rural areas from what I'm researching. And that's something that just, I think we're focusing on arresting the wrong people here. We shouldn't be arresting people who have fallen into addiction and get caught with it. I think we should be arresting people who provide those substances. And I mean that on the pharmaceutical companies who push for it.
Yeah.
I also think that it all starts, and like I said, this time around my platform revolves more about community. And whether we like it or not, at the moment, police departments are supposedly an integral part of community.
Yes.
And it all starts with being able to trust them again. Last several years, that trust has just been eroded and done away with. I know a lot of us probably knew this already, but are thankfully to light on a bigger scale. And so just reforming the police to where people, like I said, can feel safe to interact with them once again. And then just our judges as well. I don't think that we're selecting the most unbiased judges around here. So that's something that's not very good.
Yeah, and I assume you're in favor of legalizing recreational marijuana too.
Yeah, like that. I think that should be pretty standard for any Democrat, right?
Should be, but you know, those two people we put in the White House, they're kind of sitting on that right now. Don't know why. Supposedly we control the Senate and the House, but we're still, you know, sitting on legalizing marijuana. But yes, I feel like that should be a standard, you know. I think there should be a ballot question this year for state ballot question for recreational marijuana. I'm not sure. I remember there's two different petitions that were going around to be signed last year, but I don't know if they got the signature. I haven't heard anything about them in months. But that's something I'm also pushing for as well, as legalizing recreational marijuana. And um the first year we were able to vote in 2016, there was state question 780 and 781. Do you remember those two state questions?
787.
Because they kind of went together.
Probably not off of just the name, but if you told me what.
So 780 decriminalized possession of marijuana, I think certain other drugs as well, to a certain amount. And it made it, instead of a felony, made it a misdemeanor. And then 781 was supposed to take the money we saved from making it a misdemeanor instead of a felony, and push that money towards rehabilitation for people who have substance abuse issues. But what happened was the money that we ended up saving didn't really go anywhere. So it didn't go to the rehabilitation. And so every year, whenever they have the budget, that question gets asked, where's that money? And then the Republicans just kind of, you know, don't answer that question and kind of go on about their day. And that's an issue I've been bringing up because I know my incumbent that I'm running against has not really talked about that, and he's in the majority. So if he's going to be in the majority and not ask where the wishes of 781 are going to, or where the money from 781 are going to, then he shouldn't be there. But that's you know, something that I've been thinking about a lot when it comes to criminal justice reform, simply because it was passed 6 years ago and nothing. But I feel like that goes along with what a lot of what you said. But you don't have an opponent that's currently in the legislature to pin that against, so you'll just have to raise that issue on your own. But
No,
yeah,
I mean, oh my God, if I could tell you about just coming up with ideas. I had a conversation with Nick and then my team in general, where it's just like, as a whole, you know, the party as a whole, I think we all have our individual beliefs, but I don't think we have like one united idea on how to resolve it. And that's just my frustration, you know, like give us something to buy it on and push for, you know.
yeah. Let's see. All right. Last question I have here is, what kind of music do you listen to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really changed from last time we had this conversation. It's still
Well,
the
I don't
same.
remember what your answer was last time, so please go on.
Yeah. No. I'm saying this. I'm saying this for my boss who watched my last one, and he brought it up when we were talking about the interview. It's still the same thing, you know. I'm still really into Nirvana. I'm still really into the Beatles, um, and just classic rock bands in general.
Wait, do you
I guess
consider Nirvana to be classic rock?
it is. What it's like.
I'm not
It's about to
laughing
be.
at you. I am laughing because I know people who are like twice our age who will sit here and I tell them, I say, oh, like everyone my age considers like Nirvana and even like Korn and Limp Bizkit to be classic rock. They look at me, they're
Yeah.
like, no, there's no way. That's not classic rock. I'm like, yeah,
It's
it's
30 years old.
basically
It's
exactly
almost
as I
30 years
said.
old.
It's at least 25 years old, and most of what I'm like talking about came out before I was born. So to me, it's because to me,
Yeah.
classic rock is it has to do with the age of the music, not so
Hmm.
much the sound. Because I've had people say to me, oh no, classic rock is a specific sound. It's like, I'm
No.
sorry. If you're gonna tell me the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Queen all sound alike,
No.
you have some other issues, okay? You're not old enough to tell me you have issues with your hearing yet, but like, come on. It's about a time period, or at least like years in which the music came out. Because even
Yeah.
if you turn on classic rock stations now, you'll hear like Stained and even 3 Days Grace now. And I'm like, ooh, like you guys could chill with the 3 Days Grace. Like I without they were still pretty. Adam Gontier just left 3 Days Grace 9 years ago. You guys can chill with that one, okay?
Yeah.
But no, that's funny.
Yeah. If I could add a new band from last time, it'd be I got really into Queens of the Stone Age
Oh
recently,
yeah.
like within the past year. I really love them. I don't know if you've checked them out before, but
Oh yeah, they're pretty
that's definitely
good.
a recommend.
They're not one of my. They're not a band I really listen to, but I've heard some of their stuff and they're pretty good. I'm more into like metal and stuff like that. But lately, I've been listening to a lot of Alanis Morissette
Mm.
and Public Enemy,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, and
trying to
I've
get into the mood and headset or mind space.
Mindspace, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because what happened was this was like October, yeah. So like October, November, December is when I started getting super into Alanis Morissette and Public Enemy. And I started looking into the different samples because a lot of old school hip hop is like samples of different songs layered with other samples of different songs and whatnot. And a really popular sample is the drum loop in the song Funky Drummer by James Brown. And I used to think that it was just like a generic hip hop beat from like the 80s. And then I found out, oh, it's an actual drum loop from a song. Like, that's kind of cool. And I found out how many times it was used. First of all, it was used on like 5 different songs on the second Public Enemy album. And then it was used on like 3 different songs in their third album. And then like Run DMC sampled it in like 2 of their songs, and Eric B and Rakim sampled it. A whole bunch of old rap artists sampled that drum loop, and then Alanis Morissette sampled it in one of her songs, and I was like, wow, this drum loop got around. And then Korn sampled it in one of their songs, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So that's been my obsession over the last few months, is Funky Drummer by James Brown. And because that song itself is pretty good. It's like a 9-minute long song, but it's good. And that's been my where I'm at lately. I mean, I have been listening to metal too. So this is funny. I never really liked Slayer. You know who the band Slayer is?
Yeah.
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 So I never really liked Slayer outside of what's the song called? Raining Blood. I only liked that song and never liked any other Slayer song. Couldn't stand Slayer outside of that one song. And Public Enemy, they have a song on their second album they take the funky drum loop, and then they have the riff in the breakdown. I guess you could call it a breakdown. People call it a breakdown. The riff and the breakdown from Angel of Death by Slayer. And that's the instrumental. Is those two things put together. I was like, this is really cool. This is like the coolest like idea of the instrumental ever. And that made me want to listen to the Slayer song Angel of Death. And now I downloaded that whole album and I've been listening to it a lot lately. So like that, I never expected that to happen, but like that happens.
Yeah. See, that's how it usually goes. You get this ounce of familiarity and it leads you just into this completely new thing.
Yeah, and like it's fun how that happens, because I think I've gotten into other things that way too, but I really didn't expect it with Slayer, because I've always said, and I've said this probably many times on the show, Slayer's the worst of the big four of thrash. They're bottom. It's Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, then Slayer, and now I'm like, oh, I've listened to more Slayer than I've ever listened to Metallica in my entire life at this point now. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah. So thank you for coming on. Where can we find you on social media, and what is your campaign website?
Yeah, so my campaign website is votasapata.com. My Facebook page is Zapata for Oklahoma, and then my Instagram and Twitter handles are also Vota Zapata. And that's where you can find me. Contact me anytime you want, and anything you want to know, more about us and who I'm working with, or if you want to get involved at all, just reach out and we'll be happy to work with you.
And do you currently have a primary opponent, or is it just you right now?
Yeah, I have two other primary opponents.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it was called Chris. It's called Alonzo.
Say that again. You were breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of my opponents, I know the first name is Chris, and the other one is called Alonzo.
Okay.
So it's going to be a three-way primary at this point. Who knows once it's time to register for reals.
Oh God. Hopefully it just stays a three-way primary, because that would be like a nightmare if it was more than that. 3 people's enough, honestly.
I think it'd be interesting. What if it goes up to like 5 or 6? That'd be really crazy.
No, because think of it this way: if it became like a 5 or 6-way primary, it's the top 2 vote getters go to the runoff. So you could have a situation where if it's 6 people, what is 6 divided by 100?
It's 20.
It's not 20. It'd be less than 20, because 20 is 5. So it'd be 6. It'd be 16, about roughly 16.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine the highest vote getter of the 6 of you is like 22%, and then the rest is less than that. So like it's not, and then the top 2 people go on to the runoff. So the 22% vote getter, and then like the 17 or 18% vote getter, they didn't even collectively get 50% by themselves. And I don't, that's just not fun. That's a nightmare scenario. I mean, 3 sounds like like 3 sounds like a nightmare to me all on its own, but 6 is just like, oh well.
Okay. I'm viewing it as an outsider. If I not me being in it, but like me viewing a race like that on the outside, 6 people fighting over like the same 2,000 votes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like that's even worse in your district, because like in mine, there's in the Democratic primary, there's at least a good 4,000-5,000 voters or so that vote in the primaries. But like your 2,000 voters that come out in that primary, that's even like there's a possibility that some of y'all that a couple of those candidates would get literally 50 votes.
Yeah.
And like, or someone would get 200 votes, and then that's, they get to move on to the runoff. And yeah, but that's a nightmare scenario there. But yeah, I wish you luck, and I hope you you win.
Thank you, and same for you. Same for you.